Imagine this. You wake each morning thinking you are facing the world, but really, you are staring into a storm of your own thoughts, anxiety that never lets go, memories replaying on loop, the hunger for validation haunting every move. Most people never realize the battle is not with life itself. It is with the twisted mirror inside their own mind. Here is the truth that most people tend to overlook. If you do not master that mirror, you will spend your whole life chasing ghosts and missing reality. You will die with regrets, never having touched the real power waiting behind the glass. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This video is your wake-up call. You will discover the Stoic technique of polishing the mirror, a step-by-step process for navigating chaos, seeing yourself and life with new clarity, and breaking free from distorted thinking. You will learn why most people live and die confused, how to shift from blind reaction to conscious focus, and how to finally make your mind serve you instead of sabotaging you. The mind, left untrained, is a hall of mirrors. It bends every event, magnifies fear, and shrinks joy. But with practice, you learn to see past the distortion and shape a presence that is calm, deliberate, and unshakable. Each lesson ahead is not just theory. It is a tool for real change. Welcome to Stoic Philosophy Daily, where your story matters. Share the one thought or feeling that clouds your vision most. Every comment is a gift. We read with care, answer with heart, and treat your journey as part of our own. This is more than a channel. It is a circle of strength. If you are ready to stop living as a prisoner of your mind, type, "I choose clarity over confusion" in the comments, and let us start polishing your mirror together. 1. The mirror of the mind. Two people stand in the exact moment, see the same scene, yet walk away with lives shaped by entirely different realities. One glimpses hope, another senses only threat. The world itself has not changed. It is the mind's mirror that bends the light. Marcus Aurelius saw this clearly. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Every repeated worry, desire, or old wound stains your inner glass. Your experiences are never just what happens, but how your mind reflects them. Pause and ask, how often do you check the mirror before trusting what you see? Stress stretches it one way, pride stretches it another. Failures hit hardest if your identity is built on winning. Kindness looks suspicious if your heart has been hurt. Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Life's events are neutral. The mind gives them meaning. This is the danger. When you never question your mirror, you mistake reflection for truth. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Your mind paints the future darker with anxiety, polishes the past too bright with nostalgia, and stretches the present into longing with desire. It is not deception. It is a habit, one that quietly becomes your reality. Childhoods shared under one roof can become two different worlds, because each mind shapes a separate reflection. Over time, those reflections harden into private truths. Test yourself. Imagine entering a room where conversation comes to a halt. If insecurity colors your mirror, you will feel targeted. If pride warps it, you will see admiration. If you are grounded, you will think, maybe it is nothing. The event is the same, the mirror is not. As Carl Jung wrote, who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Unless you dare to look inside, you will stay lost in illusions, fighting shadows that never existed. So what can you do? Do not smash the mirror, polish it. Aristotle said, "The self-controlled person is free." Each time you pause before reacting, each moment you question your first flash of anger or fear, you wipe away another smudge. Make it a daily ritual. Sit quietly, even for a minute, and ask, what color is my mirror this morning? What world is it reflecting? The more you clean, the clearer you become, not perfect, but real. Even so, the mirror will never show the whole truth. Plato warned, "We live in a cave, mistaking shadows for reality. No matter how polished, your mind still reflects only part of life's richness." The actual journey is not just to polish the glass, but to notice the one who stands behind it. When you catch even a glimpse of that deeper self, life shifts from a blur of random images to something rooted, awake, and full of meaning. Socrates put it simply, the unexamined life is not worth living. So, ask yourself today, are you living lost in your own reflection, or are you finally learning to master the mirror? The clearer your mind, the clearer your world. At Stoic Daily, we believe clarity is not a gift. It is a discipline you build, one reflection at a time. Drop in the comments, "Today I polish my mirror." What belief or thought do you need to examine for a more accurate view of your life? 2. How other creatures see the world. A sunset in the forest means something different to every creature that sees it. To you, it might feel peaceful. To a wolf, it is the stage for a hunt. To a bird, it is a web of branches. To a butterfly, it is a dance of color and nectar. Nothing in the forest changes. The only thing that shifts is the mirror through which it is seen. That is true for animals, and it is just as true for us. Seneca understood this deeply. Every animal is driven to self-preservation by nature, and that drive creates the filter through which each creature experiences the world. The tiger's mind narrows to survival, calories, territory, and instinct. The grasshopper tunes its world to vibration and scent. Each lives in a reality defined by its mirror, even though they share the same earth. But humans have a gift and a curse, a wider mirror. We can see art, love, ideas, beauty, and meaning. Yet our minds are just as capable of shrinking as they are of expanding. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." The same wide mirror that lets us marvel at beauty can be fogged with prejudice, judgment, or fear. When we cling to labels, success, or pain, we narrow our vision and allow ourselves to see only what fits our story. Suddenly, reality shrinks down to our bias, and the world becomes a smaller place. Epictetus warned, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Our judgments fog the glass, and soon we mistake distortion for fact. Think about it. One person gets cut off in traffic and rages. Another assumes the driver is in crisis. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Most of what bothers us is not out there. It is in the way our mirror bends the light. We believe our human mirror is clearer than an animal's, but is that really the case? Animals live, survive, reproduce, and act instinctively. We layer on status, fear, regret, ideology, and ego. Each layer adds fog. Plato's allegory of the cave shows us how easily we stare at shadows, call them truth, and never look for the light behind us. Our mirrors are often just as clouded, only more complicated. So what does it mean to use our wider mirror wisely? It means knowing both its gifts and its traps. As Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. When you catch your vision shrinking, trapped in judgment or identity, that is your signal to expand your view. Think of every conflict between families, neighbors, or nations. Each side is looking through a warped mirror. If we polish it, even a little, we might see not enemies, but humans, fellow travelers. The tiger cannot change its stripes, but you can. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Polishing the mirror means taking responsibility for your perception. You can widen or shrink your mind, Choose clarity or distortion. That is the unique human gift. So ask yourself, are you looking at life with a mirror big enough for wonder and wisdom? Or have you let judgment and fear shrink your world down to only what you want or hate to see? Master this choice, and you take the first step toward mastering your mind. At Stoic Daily, we believe true freedom is not just seeing the world, it is seeing more than the world has to offer. Drop in the comments, I choose to widen my mirror. Where have you let old beliefs or fears shrink your vision? 3. Why most people die bewildered. There's a quiet tragedy that runs through most lives. It isn't the fact of death that unsettles people. The Stoics saw death as the only certainty, not a shock. The true regret comes from looking back and realizing you never actually lived. So many reach the end, haunted by the sense that they spent their days lost in noise, confusing their restless thoughts for reality, never truly stepping onto life's real stage. Ask yourself, how much of your day is spent truly awake, feeling what's in front of you, instead of rehearsing arguments, worrying, or planning futures that never arrive? For most, life drifts by like watching flickers on a dark theater screen, missing the living world just outside. Carl Jung wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. We chase distraction, drown out the silence, anything to avoid meeting ourselves. But in dodging the quiet, we dodge the fullness of life itself." The Stoics saw this danger. Marcus Aurelius kept this reminder close. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He wasn't being grim. He was calling for urgency, to stop waiting for someday. Most people plan to live later, after the kids grow up, after the next promotion, after retirement, but later rarely comes. And when death does, confusion hits hard. The mind suddenly realizes it spent decades busy but never alive. Seneca put it, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The real tragedy isn't running out of time, it's running out of presence. Most people rehearse life in their heads, mistaking their inner mirror for real experience. So the final moment feels like waking from a long, unsatisfying dream, like climbing a ladder your whole life, only to find it leaning against the wrong wall. This is the cost of letting your mirror dictate your experience. You chase money, recognition, and reputation, believing they are life itself, but none of them come with you in the end. What remains is the question, did you ever look behind the mirror to see who you really are? The beauty is, you don't have to wait until your last breath to wake up. You can question your reflections now. Ask, am I living in my thoughts, or am I touching reality? When you catch yourself scrolling, stressing, or arguing in your mind, are you actually present or lost in shadows? Plato's allegory of the cave warns that most spend their lives watching shadows, never turning to see the light. Jung cautioned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." It is not death that bewilders. It is letting your unpolished mirror run the show. To master your mind is to wake up, to step out of reflection and into the rawness of the present. Try small awakenings. Taste your food. Notice your breath. Pause before reacting. Ask, is this my mind-bending reality or the truth? Each act clears the mirror, revealing more of life. Here's the paradox. The more you resist death, the more bewildered you will be. The more you accept it, as Epictetus taught, death is not dreadful, but the dread of death is dreadful. The more fully you live. Sharpen your mirror now. See that every ordinary moment is extraordinary, because it won't return. Most people die bewildered because they spend their lives running from discomfort and chasing illusions. But you can choose presence. You can polish your mirror and finally meet the one behind it, yourself. If you do, death won't arrive as a stranger, but as a companion you greet with clarity. even gratitude. At Stoic Daily, we believe a life worth living means facing yourself now, not waiting for the curtain to fall. Drop in the comments, "I choose to live awake." What's one thing you'll do today to step out of the shadows and into the light? 4. The technique. Polishing the mirror. One of life's hardest lessons is that most of what clouds your days doesn't come from the world, it comes from within. All those arguments, spirals of overthinking, comparisons, the constant dread of what might happen, none of these are reality itself. They're just dust gathering on the mirror of your mind. The more you ignore that dust, the less you see life as it really is. With time, you start reacting to the dirt instead of the truth. That's why clarity isn't about stacking up more information, opinions, or noise. It's about polishing your mirror. Imagine starting your day, not by diving into your phone, but with 2 minutes of stillness, just watching your thoughts come and go like passing clouds. You're not fighting them, just noticing. That's polishing. It's simple, but not easy. The mind is restless. Still, even these brief moments make a difference. The dust settles, the overwhelm fades, and clarity rises. If you skip this maintenance, you'll confuse distortion for reality. A single criticism feels like an attack. A slight delay becomes a crisis. One anxious thought can snowball into a story about your whole life falling apart. Epictetus warned, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." When you polish the mirror, you respond to life rather than react to cloudy reflections. There's another layer. Even the best moments can be dulled by a mind that's fogged up. You might be at a beautiful dinner, surrounded by people who care, yet a stray worry hijacks your joy. Seneca put it plainly, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Polishing the mind is the discipline of returning, again and again, to what's real. This isn't about wiping the mind clean forever. The mirror will always gather new dust through stress, habit, or chance. The secret is regular maintenance. 2 minutes in the morning is powerful, but you can polish any time, in traffic, standing in line, or any moment you catch yourself lost in a story. Each time you pause and notice your thoughts, you move from being lost in dust to observing it. Aristotle taught, "The self-controlled person is free." Polishing isn't a miracle, it's a muscle you build over time. Here's the paradox. The more you polish, the less you feel the urge to control everything. Life won't become perfect, but it will become more precise, sharper, more accurate. An argument won't spiral into catastrophe. A bad day won't become your whole story. You'll see what's there, sometimes tough, sometimes beautiful, but always real. This is how the Stoics lived. They practiced daily, keeping their mirror clear so they could meet life as it is, not as fear or habit paints it. Marcus Aurelius knew, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." A polished mirror turns obstacles into guides. So ask yourself, do you want to keep staring at life through a dusty mirror, mistaking smudges for truth? Or will you spend a few minutes each day polishing and discover the vivid reality that's always been waiting underneath? At Stoic Daily, we believe clarity is earned, not given. Drop in the comments, "I choose to polish my mirror." When will you give yourself 2 minutes of stillness today? 5. The geometry of focus. Sharpening the mind's edge. Have you ever wondered why dreams can feel more vivid than waking life? In sleep, you see faces and landscapes in striking detail, yet when you try to recall them, everything blurs and slips away. This reveals something important. The mind's raw power is wasted without training. Just as an untrained body grows weak, a restless mind grows dull. Focus isn't a gift, it's a discipline. Marcus Aurelius taught, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what good are thoughts if you can't hold them steady? The more precisely you can focus, the more precise your life becomes. Most people live with a mind that jumps restlessly, unable to pause long enough to see clearly. Training focus is like teaching a child to sit and observe with patience. Start small. Pick up an ordinary object, a coffee cup, a book, or even your hand. Break it down into shapes. Notice the curves and angles. Maintain your attention on those details. Each time your mind drifts, and you gently bring it back, you strengthen your mental muscles. This is the quiet work of self-mastery. This is mental geometry. Every small act of holding focus prepares you for bigger challenges. As Epictetus said, no great thing is created suddenly. If you can't focus on something simple, how will you maintain your clarity in conflict or stress? The mind trained in shape and form becomes resilient, ready to meet life in high definition instead of a blurry mess. Carl Jung reminded us, who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Each return to the present sharpens your edge a little more. But modern life trains the opposite. Multitasking, endless scrolling, constant alerts. They don't just scatter your attention, they fracture it. Seneca warned, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. The more directions you're pulled, the less of you is truly present. Geometry, after all, is the art of stability. A triangle is the most stable form in nature. When you train your mind to break reality into structure, you teach your thoughts to hold under pressure instead of collapsing under noise. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Focus is that habit. Each day you train it, the sharper your perception and the richer your experience. When you visualize a face, it becomes clearer. When you set a goal, it feels more real. Even ordinary acts like listening, reading, and cooking become deeper because you're truly there, living instead of drifting. So here's your invitation. Start small. Today, break one object into shapes. Tomorrow, another. Notice how a trained gaze upgrades your inner world. Stress feels smaller, beauty feels closer, and time slows down because you are finally paying attention. The sharper your focus, the less life slips through your fingers. At Stoic Daily, we believe clarity and presence are the true rewards of a focused mind. Drop in the comments, "I train my focus." What's a straightforward way you'll practice mental geometry today? 6. From reflection to reality, stepping beyond illusion. Most people live trapped in their own movie, mistaking the images playing in their mind for life itself. We replay yesterday's mistakes, worry about tomorrow's shadows, and rush through the present already burdened by stories that exist only in thought. The world hasn't spoken yet, but our minds narrate non-stop, like a screen that never goes dark. When you spend your days lost in those reflections, nothing truly changes. You react, repeat, and survive, but you never fully live. The Stoics saw this trap. Epictetus said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The real pain is almost always in the reflection, not in the event itself. Think of a lake on a windy day. The more the surface is stirred, the more chaotic the reflection. But let the water settle, and suddenly you can see through both the beauty and the depth. The same is true for your mind. When you learn to let the ripples quiet, you see past the surface, straight to the substance of life. Seneca put it best, "Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future." If you're trapped in reflections, you're lost in what's gone or what hasn't happened yet. The present, the only place life actually unfolds, slips away. But when you step behind the mirror, you find the present again. You move from living in shadows to living in the real world. Let's make it practical. Throughout your day, notice when you're lost in thought, replaying old arguments, drifting into what-if scenarios, or worrying about tomorrow. When that happens, Pause. Take one slow breath. Then ask yourself, am I just watching reflections, or am I touching reality? In that moment, you'll feel your mind resist. Maybe restlessness, maybe the urge to scroll, even perhaps anxiety that you're missing out by stopping. Let that wave pass. As you sit with the discomfort, something changes. Your heart rate slows, the fog lifts, and the noise starts to quiet. Each act of presence turns the mind from chaos to clarity. The more you practice, the less power your old stories have. Soon, the habit of returning to the present moment will help your mind become calmer. Moments feel fuller. Emotion becomes a tool, not a trap. This is how you move from being ruled by your mind to gently directing it. Plato's allegory of the cave still rings true. Most people watch shadows on the wall, never turning to see the fire. To step behind the mirror is to turn and face life as it is. And the reward? Even a moment of reality shifts everything. Colors seem brighter, conversations go deeper, and each small experience feels more meaningful. You stop drifting and start living, truly present, not just surviving. At Stoic Daily, we believe freedom comes from seeing life as it is, not as our minds imagine it. Drop in the comments, I choose reality over reflection. What's one moment today when you caught yourself waking up from the blur? 7. The danger of misuse. Why clarity must serve wisdom. When you first taste clarity, it's tempting to believe your sharpened mind is a tool for bending reality, winning games, or impressing the world. But here's the trap. If you chase control before you've built wisdom, you risk being consumed by the very power you thought would set you free. Marcus Aurelius cautioned, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The mind was never meant to serve greed or ego. It exists to lead us toward virtue, truth, and inner freedom. Many fall into using focus as a shortcut to avoid themselves, trying to manifest outcomes, manipulate others, or escape discomfort. But Carl Jung saw through this. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. True mastery isn't about manipulating the world. It's about gaining freedom from the illusions inside. If your discipline only feeds desire, you haven't freed yourself at all. You've only polished your chains. Picture being handed a lamp. You could use it to see the world more honestly, or you could turn it into a spotlight, blinding others and yourself with your performance. Both use light, but only one brings clarity. A trained mind can guide you to the truth or become a tool for manipulation. The difference is intention. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from focusing on what you control and letting go of what you don't. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. If you use your mental strength to force outcomes, fame, wealth, and validation, you step outside your circle of control and trade freedom for frustration. Mastery is not about bending life, but aligning with it. The Stoics knew, you're only free when your desires do not rule you. This is the subtle danger. The sharper your mind becomes, the greater the risk of cutting yourself. The Stoics asked, am I using my clarity to live with nature, or just to get my own way? History is full of people who built power, only to lose themselves to it. Jung warned, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. It's far easier to use focus to escape than to face your own reflection. But that is the true purpose. Not to manipulate life, but to meet yourself honestly. So what does wise practice look like? It appears as humility, utilizing clarity to understand yourself rather than trying to control others. It means asking before each effort, am I polishing the mirror to see truth, or to feed an illusion? One path leads to clarity, the other confuses. At the heart of Stoicism is this: virtue is the only good. Wealth, status, and even knowledge are only as valuable as the wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control they serve. The danger of misuse is that it turns clarity into another trap of desire. So when you build your mind, resist the urge to turn discipline into domination. Let clarity lead you deeper, beyond the mirror, to the stillness and freedom the Stoics promised. That's where real peace and real power begin. At Stoic Daily, we believe clarity is only valid if it serves wisdom and virtue. Drop in the comments, I use my mind to see, not to conquer. When have you caught yourself turning discipline into another form of control? 8. Practical daily practice, where clarity becomes real. The hardest part of change isn't knowing what to do. It's actually doing it. Everyone loves the idea of a clear, steady mind, but when it comes to the daily practice, excuses creep in. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too busy. This probably won't matter. Yet, as Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. The way you use it is through small, daily acts. That's how you shift from being ruled by your thoughts to gently guiding them. Start simple. No special tools and no rituals, just attention. Pick an object nearby, a mug, a pen, your hand. Break it down into shapes. At first, you'll see circles, lines, and angles. Push further and ask if you can spot 20, 50, even 100 forms. Your mind will want to rush ahead, but when you stay, you feel your attention stretch and your presence deepen. Each return to focus is like a rep for your mental muscle. Pair this with stillness. Each morning, give yourself 2 minutes. Sit, breathe, and let thoughts rise and fall. Don't fight them or chase them, just watch. At first, you may feel restless, impatient, even doubtful. But beneath the surface, clarity is forming. You begin to notice patterns and worries, and the ways your mind warps reality. Each time you notice and come back, you invite a little more calm and focus into your day. Daily practice isn't about drama or perfection. It's about quiet repetition. 5 minutes of geometric focus and 2 minutes of stillness, done again and again. Over time, these small acts reshape how your mind reflects the world. Life will still test you, but you won't be tossed by every wave. Emotion will rise, but you'll hold steady like a sailor learning to trust his hands at the wheel. Plato called philosophy the turning of the soul toward the light. Every quiet repetition is that subtle turning point, building clarity where chaos once lived. The choice is yours. Let your mind run wild and scattered by distraction, or start now with one object and 2 minutes of presence. It's not about getting it perfect. It's about the practice, because practice is what polishes the mirror. The clearer the mirror, the clearer your path. At Stoic Daily, we believe ordinary practice shapes extraordinary clarity. Drop in the comments, I choose daily practice. What's one small act of attention or stillness you'll build into your routine today? Every day is a new mirror. If this message reached you, remember, growth doesn't happen in one leap. It's built in the quiet choices. Each pause, each moment you polish the mirror, every breath you claim for yourself. Maybe today's lesson brought you clarity, or perhaps it sparked more questions. That's not a flaw. It's a sign you're alive and awake. Every small awakening adds a new shine to your mirror and shapes the person you're becoming. The world will always try to cloud your vision, to pull you back into noise and distraction. But you have the tools now, clarity over chaos, substance over shadow. Don't rush this work. It's a lifelong journey, not a race. Select the next lesson, come back when you need to reset, and trust that each return makes your foundation steadier. Thank you for walking this path with us, and for making Stoic Philosophy Daily more than just a channel, a circle of strength, presence, and self-mastery. Every story you share, every comment, and every moment of honesty strengthen the entire community. You're not just learning, you're helping shape a space where clarity grows stronger for everyone. If you're ready to keep building your inner clarity, drop in the comments. I keep polishing my mirror, and share one practice that helps you find clarity when the world feels loud. Stay curious. Stay grounded. We'll see you in the next lesson. If you're seeking more, discover the full path on my channel, Stoic Philosophy Daily.